right, we're hearing rumor Keith Jarrett not on a golf course this afternoon. That means you can hook up with the wise guys today.
Not dishing the wise guys.
He had some cell issues yesterday. We were trying to get a hold of him in Virginia.
Oh, he had issues, all right.
Keith with us again at 5:05. Can't wait to get
What if he fired his caddy?
I don't think Keith has a caddy.
I think he is the caddy, yeah.
Keith's in the media. We can't afford caddies, Bill. You would, if you golfed, you would know that.
No, all those years I spent in Southern Pines and Pinehurst, never picked up a club.
Oh, boy.
Except at the miniature golf course.
Sure, and no one handled the windmill hole better than Bill McClement.
Except my wife, who she beat my ass at that stuff.
Keith Jarrett at 5:05 today, so we're looking forward to that. His thoughts on Tiger Woods and Cameron Maybin. Lots going on, so good times on the way. In the meantime, let's head to the Southeastern Sports Medicine Wise Lines. Why? Well, how about this?
Football's back.
Yes, sir, it is. Thank you, Commish.
That.
And we're joined on the Southeastern Sports Medicine Wise Lines, where many of our guests appear courtesy of Southeastern Sports Medicine, by Jimmy Morris, MusicCityMiracle.com, Titans blogger. Jimmy, great to have you back, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's our pleasure. All right, let's start first with Chris Johnson. Man, he's a stubborn son of a gun. Today's the deadline for players under contract to report to their clubs in order to earn those an accrued season towards free agency. I love this. Like, suddenly the NFL's like turning into banking. But anyway, apparently
that's banking, all right.
That's not enough for him. He's determined to get himself a long-term deal. And basically last year, Jimmy, as you know, he said he wanted a new deal with $30 million guaranteed. Apparently he's acting as his own agent as well. And granted, he's probably one of the most underpaid running backs in the league for the performance that he gives, which is very impressive. Real quick, Titans fans, are they falling on the side of the team, or they understand where Chris Johnson's coming from?
I think right now most understand where he's coming from. I mean, he's due to make $800,000 this year in base salary, something like that. His number with his bonus from signing bonus and all that stuff is a little bit over $1 million. But with the shelf life for running backs in the league now being so short, he's going to get one big contract, really. And so I think most people understand what's going on. Now, that may switch if he starts to, if we get into the season and he's not here, that may get a little bit different from fans. But I think right now they're pretty much on his side, knowing that, he can walk in the week before the first game and be ready to go.
Does he have an agent, but he's just not using the agent, or does he basically have no agent and basically trying to forge this deal by himself?
No, he does. He's got an agent. He actually, he and Randy Moss have the same agent. Joel Siegel, I think, is his name.
Okay.
CJ likes to talk, and they moved up that. They had like a $2.5 million bonus. They moved up at the end of at the beginning of last year from the end of his deal, basically as a Band-Aid to get him to come to camp to report on time. He said he wouldn't do anything like that again, that he wanted to get paid next year. So that's kind of where we sit. The Titans have said that they're not going to negotiate with him as long as he's not here. So that's kind of where we're sitting right now. It's one of those things that's going to get done. I would be shocked if it didn't get done before the beginning of the regular season. But both sides are kind of entrenched in their positions right now.
We'll see who blinks first.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, he's grossly underpaid. I'm surprised the Titans didn't take care of this before it came to this point.
Well, I think with all the CBA issues and the lockout and all that, it's kind of like it pushed it off the table.
Well, sure, but a lot of players are signing big time money.
Yeah.
Players that don't have near the numbers. I mean, the guy ran for over 2,000 yards in 2009. Dude's solid.
When you look at the deal that D'Angelo Williams got a couple weeks ago,
oh yeah,
I can't remember what his total number was, but it was like $21 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
And that's the floor, I would imagine, for Chris Johnson, because they're the two numbers. I mean, D'Angelo Williams has split carries, and he's missed a lot of games over the last couple of years. And, Chris Johnson has been healthy pretty much all career, and then, like you were saying, had the 2,000-yard season just 2 years ago.
Hey, with Tennessee having a new coach, what is the likelihood that he'll be part of the system with as many touches as he's expecting?
Well, hopefully he'll get less. They ran him too much last year, and with a guy for his size, he just can't take that pounding that some of the bigger guys can, and running backs can in general. I mean, we've seen it, over and over again. The guys that get 5 years in the league and they start to break down because they've had so many carries. He's big on the numbers, and Fisher was the players coach type of guy. He would keep him in there at the end of games, blowouts last year, that stuff, let him get carries so that he could try to get his numbers. Hopefully the new staff won't do that. Chris Johnson is I don't really think I describe him as a selfish player. I think he does want to put up numbers, but I think he really wants to win too. And I think part of his thing is that he thinks that he's the best running back in the NFL, and he wants to be paid like it. I don't think he's a guy that's going to lay down once he gets that. But anyway, all that, I mean, I just hope that they will give him less carries, because that can, maybe extend his career a couple more years, and it could make him more effective in the touches that he gets. He got banged up kind of in the middle of the season last year, played through a thigh injury, and so he just wasn't as effective when he doesn't have that breakaway speed. He got caught a couple of times that just didn't happen the year before.
We're joined on the Southeastern Sports Medicine Wise Lines by Jimmy Morris, MusicCityMiracle.com. And we should point out it's our 4-wide NFL preview. And let me ask you this, too, Jimmy. Matt Hasselbeck brought in as basically a stopgap during the development of Jake Locker. I think this was a great move by the organization. How's Locker coming along? Would you think Hasselbeck will need 1 year or maybe 2 years before Locker is good to go?
I would imagine it's one. From everything that we've been seeing at camp, it seems like Locker is further ahead of where we thought he would be at this point, especially with the lockout and not having those OTAs and that time in the offseason to work with his new coaches. His accuracy issues have not been nearly as bad as people feared. It's going to take him some time still, and especially with, not being able to get in until August. A little more time than it would have had he have had that additional time. But, I think it's really a 1-year deal with Hasselbeck. He signed a 3-year deal, but it's like a $21 million, I think, was the total number on his deal, but $9 million of it's in the first year. So, it's a front-loaded deal.
Yeah.
With the idea that Locker takes over in year 2, and that's what they're hoping happens.
Jimmy Morris, MusicCityMiracle.com, Titans blogger. And Seth, you want to know about Vince Young, right? Or maybe the lack of Vince Young in Tennessee.
Yeah, do you guys miss him there in Tennessee?
No. Vince has, this is what I always say when anybody asks me about Vince Young, I think he has the ability to be a good NFL quarterback. He has got to decide that he wants to be a good NFL quarterback. I know the record and all that stuff, but the thing that you heard about Vince time and time again was he was not willing to put in the work that it took to be that guy in the NFL. And so until he decides that he's willing to do that, he's not going to be anything more than he's been, a guy that, has flashes of being really good, but overall his play is incredibly inconsistent.
Okay, now also, do you miss Jeff Fisher?
I don't. Jeff Fisher is a good football coach. He was a great coach for this organization for a long time, and he oversaw that transition from Houston to Memphis to Vanderbilt to where they are now at LP Field. And that was tough. And then obviously they went to the Super Bowl in the first year. And he's a good coach, but I think Fisher just got a little too stuck in his ways. And I think it was just time for a change. It was time for a change for the organization, and I think it was a time for a change for him. He'll get a job coaching somebody next year, and will probably have some success. But I think, sometimes it's just time to move on, and it was time for that here.
We're joined by Jimmy Morris, Titans blogger, MusicCityMiracle.com. We're 4-wide with the Tennessee Titans. And obviously Mike Munchak is the new head coach. How's the team rallying around him now?
So far, so good. There's been a lot of positive comments, especially coming from the defensive side of the ball. Chuck Cecil was the defensive coordinator last year, and from everything that you're hearing, he was pretty much overmatched. It just seemed like he wasn't quite ready for that job. A lot of the defensive players will be talking about how much more organized stuff is this year, stuff like that. So, Munchak is kind of a no-nonsense type of guy. He's really pushing the team concept. Some of the players have said this year it's more about the team than like the different positions. Like they said, basically like the positions last year were cliques in the locker room, and this year he's pushing the whole team attitude, and they've done a lot of stuff to push that. So, I think it's going to be a good change. With the whole thing with Cortland Finnegan that happened over the weekend. I think that under Fisher, he probably would have been allowed to dodge the media for a couple of days. Not really own up to what had happened, and I have a feeling that Munchak had a talk with them probably Sunday night and said, you're gonna come clean on what happened here, because by Finnegan saying that Titans officials knew where he was after Mike Reinfeldt, the GM, and Mike Munchak, the head coach, had said on Saturday that didn't know where he was. He was basically calling them liars, and Munchak's not going to put up with that. Fisher would take some of that stuff, again, being the player's guy, but Munchak's not really going to stand for that stuff.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch and see how this turns out in Tennessee. The transition from longtime coach Jeff Fisher, who I really liked, and I get your point.
I think sometimes
time to move on.
I think sometimes after a while, you need an iron fist.
And also, too, we want to point out Seth, who, again, is our tweeting dork, says Jimmy is a prolific tweeter. You can tweet him at TitansMCM. And, of course, MusicCityMiracles.com is the website. Jimmy, thanks so much for stopping by. Great information. And, hey, if any Titans news breaks during the season, we'd love to catch back up with you, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, give me a call anytime.
You got it. Thanks.
Thank you.
There you have it. Music City Miracles. I love the website, by the way, and I love the name. That's just way too cool. We appreciate him very much. More football, as you got the Wise Guys.